Good morning, students. We are discussing the modern periodic table, and I told you that many efforts were made by other scientists other than Mendeleev and Dubonier, Newlands. These are the scientists who made efforts in classifying elements. But apart from them, there are others also, like Henry Moseley, okay, who actually gave more importance to atomic numbers rather than atomic weights. And as a result of that, the modern periodic law and the modern periodic table came into existence. Okay, so we are discussing about the modern periodic table, and I gave you some idea about how the elements are laid out. Okay, and see this now here. This is the modern periodic table we have discussed so far. Okay, in the modern periodic table there are groups and columns. There are 18 vertical groups. These vertical groups are ranging from 1 to 18. Okay, group 18 is also sometimes called the zero group. Okay, apart from that, we also have periods. Vertical columns are called groups, 18 groups, and horizontal rows are called periods. There are 7 periods, and it's not necessary that all the periods and groups must have the same number of elements. For example, look at the first group. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that is 4, 5, 6, and 7 elements. The second group has got 6 elements, and then the third group has got only 4 elements. Of course, there are other lanthanide and actinide series also at the bottom, the rare earth metals which are at the bottom. Okay, and I also told you how the whole periodic table is actually a division of elements into metals and non-metals, and in between there are what are called semi-metals or metalloids, and also about how there are certain trends in the periodic table. Okay, if you go from left to right, certain things change. If you go from top to bottom, certain things change, and this is what is called trends in the periodic table. Trends are regarding electronegativity and electropositivity. Trends are regarding atomic radius, about valence electrons and reactivity, and such trends are which are also discussed in the periodic table. All right, now after that we come to trends in the modern periodic table. So let's discuss this. 5.3.2. right, you see, first trend is about the valency. Now if you look at the modern periodic table, the valency, what is valency? Valency is the number of electrons in the outermost orbit of an electron, and the number of electrons actually participating in a chemical reaction, in bond formation. There are 2 types of bonds. We know that electrovalent bonds, or what are called ionic bonds, and they are covalent bonds formed by sharing of electrons. Now how these bonds are formed depends upon the number of valence electrons. Okay, how many electrons are there in the outermost orbit of an atom? That is vitally important when it comes to bond formation, and bond formation is extremely important when it comes to reactivity, how compounds are formed. Those compound formation is possible only because of sharing of electrons or transfer of electrons, that is ionic bonds or covalent bonds, and therefore valency is extremely important. Valency indicates the number of valence electrons in the outermost orbit, but it also indicates the number of electrons that are either given or taken, okay, by an atom in order to complete its outermost shell. So for example, let's just read about this valency. As you know, the valency of an element is determined by the number of valence electrons present in the outermost shell of its atom. Now if you take sodium and chlorine, both of them, okay, so atomic number of sodium is 11, so its electron configuration is 281. In other words, there are 2 electrons in its first orbit or first shell, 8 electrons in the second one, and then 1 electron in the outermost orbit. So its valency is 1. Okay, now if you look at chlorine, atomic number of chlorine is 17. Its electron configuration is 287. So what should we say? What is the valency of sodium? Sodium valency is 1. Then what about chlorine? Should chlorine have valency 7? No, because you see it requires 1 electron, and when it gets that 1 electron, it becomes 288, or what is called chloride ion. In other words, valency is also the amount or the number of electrons that are required to complete the outermost shell. Okay, for example, in case of sodium, it is easier for sodium atom to lose 1 electron, and therefore its valency is actually positive 1. Okay, and in the case of chlorine, it is negative 1, because when it gains 1 electron, it becomes a negative ion. On the other hand, when sodium loses an electron, it becomes a positive ion. So in reality, the valency of sodium and chlorine both is 1. Okay, both they have the same valency 1. But one has a positive valency of 1, the other one is a negative valency. The positive and negative valency, the positive and negative sign only shows, it only shows whether a positive ion is formed or a negative ion is formed. Nothing other than that. Okay. But it is not just a number of valence electrons. For example, fluorine has got 7 valence electrons or 7 electrons in its outermost orbit. Its valency is not 7, its valency is 1. Okay. But we'll learn about that just now. Okay. How do you calculate the valency of an element from its electron configuration? What is the valency of magnesium with atomic number 12 and sulfur with atomic number 16? Okay. Now in case of magnesium, it would be 2, 8, 2. 2 in the first shell, 8 in the second, and again 2 in the last one. What about sulfur? 16. 2, 8, and then it becomes 6 more or less. 2, 8, and then 6. Okay. So should the valency of sulfur be 6? No, it won't be 6 because it requires 2 electrons now. It is easier for it to get 2 electrons than to lose 6 electrons. And that is also important when determining valency. Similarly, find out the valencies of the first 20 elements. How does the valency vary in a period on going from left to right? How does the valency vary in going down a group? Okay, when we go down a group, okay, once again, let's get back to that periodic table and we'll understand it better. Okay, let's see the periodic table here. You can see that when you go down a group, okay, when you go from hydrogen, lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, and so on, when you go down a group, one orbit or one shell is added every time. For example, hydrogen has got only one orbit or one shell. Lithium has got 2 orbits. Okay, sodium has got 3 orbits or 3 shells. So number of shells goes on increasing, and that is why atomic radius, the size of the atom, also increases. But what about the valency? In each case, the number of electrons in the outermost orbit is only 1. In case of hydrogen also, outermost orbit has got 1 electron. Sorry. Lithium, again, okay, its atomic number is 3. So it will have 2 electrons in the first orbit and 1 electrons in the second or last orbit. Okay, in other words, if you go down a group, the valency remains the same. It does not change. Okay, let us take the second one, beryllium, magnesium, calcium. Again, valency remains 2 because there are only 2 electrons in the outermost orbit. But look at, for example, when we go along a period from left to right. Okay, if we take potassium, calcium, okay, potassium valency is 1, calcium valency is 2, okay, then scandium valency is 3, titanium valency is 4. Okay, in other words, valency goes on increasing as you go from left to right in a period. But the valency remains the same when you go down a group. That is an important property. Alright, that was, now let's get back to that. Okay, so we are discussing trends in the modern periodic table, valency. Alright, now atomic size. The term atomic size refers to the radius of an atom. The atomic size may be visualized, it may be pictured as the distance between the center of the nucleus and the outermost shell of an isolated atom. The atomic radius of hydrogen is 37 pm. pm here means picometer. What is a picometer? It is 10 to power excuse me, 10 to power minus 12 meters. 10 to power minus 12 meters is an extremely small length. Extremely small. 10 to power 12 minus 12 meters. Not 10 to power 12, but 10 to power minus 12. That means it is extremely small. An atom is invisible. Okay, you can't see an atom. Even with the most powerful microscope, you will not be able to see an atom. So the size of an atom, it is so small that you can't actually picture it. Okay, it's extremely small. Then, as I just discussed from the, once again, let us have a look at the periodic table because it is extremely important. Okay, yes. Now here again, as you go down the group, okay, as you go down the group, the shells goes on increasing, the number of shells, and as the number of shells increases, atomic radius also increases. Okay, but when you go down, when you go along the period from left to right, when you go along the period from left hand side to right hand side, then the shells remain the same number of shells, but the number of electrons in the outermost orbit goes on increasing. Look at potassium, for example, here 19. Okay, in potassium you can see here that the number of in case of potassium. Okay, here you got to be careful about here. Okay, the number of, when you go down the group, the number of hydrogen, the number of electrons will go on increasing from left to right, and as a result of which, what happens is the force of attraction between the nucleus and the electrons increases, and the size of the atom shrinks slightly. It becomes slightly smaller. All right. Now let us see once again. Let's come back here. Okay, atomic size, that is, and we were discussing that it is in picometers, 10 to the power minus 12 meters. Let us study the variation of atomic size in a group in a period. All right, this is only for information. Okay, this is not to be learned by heart. See activity 5.7. Atomic radii of the elements of second period are given below. Period, 2 elements, that is boron, beryllium, oxygen, nitrogen, lithium, calcium. Okay, and lithium and carbon. Atomic radius in picometers: 88, 111, 66, 74, 152, 77, and so on. Okay, you can see there is a general trend of downward trend. Okay, arrange them in decreasing order of their atomic radii. Are the elements now arranged in the pattern of period in the periodic table? If you look at the periodic table, remember lithium is supposed to be the first one. Okay, after lithium, if you arrange this, lithium is number 1 on the left hand side, then beryllium, and after beryllium you will get boron, after boron carbon, after carbon nitrogen, and then oxygen, in that order. This is not in the proper order. The elements have been rearranged anyhow. But if you look at, for example, see, this is the lithium one. Let's go back to the table again. Okay, if you look at this table here, you can see lithium. Okay, and if you go along this period, see lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and so on. If you go down from left to right, and if you go that way, you will find that atomic radius goes on decreasing, not increasing. Okay, you can see here in this trend that we were discussing here, it will go on decreasing. Okay, starts from lithium and goes all the way. Yes. Arrange them in decreasing order of their atomic radii. Are the elements now arranged in the pattern of a period in the periodic table? Yes. Okay, because as you go from left to right, atomic radius decreases. How does the atomic radius change as you go from left to right? It decreases. Alright, let's see the next part now. Yes, you will see that the atomic radius decreases in moving from left to right along the period. This is due to an increase in the nuclear charge, that is, number of protons in the nucleus increases. That is, positive charge increases, number of electrons also increases in the outermost orbit. So the electrostatic force of attraction between the protons and neutrons, protons and electrons increases, as a result of which the atomic radius shrinks a little bit. This is due to an increase in nuclear charge, which tends to pull the electrons closer to the nucleus and reduce the size of the atom. Alright, activity 5.8. Study the variation. Okay, activity 5.8. Study the variation in the atomic radius of first group elements given below, or enter in increasing order. Sodium, lithium, rubidium, cesium, potassium. This is in any order. Okay, start with, if you take the atomic radius, as you go down the group, it will go on increasing. You can see that lithium would be number 1. Lithium 152 picometers. Okay, and after that you will get sodium, lithium, sodium, and then potassium, lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, and cesium, in that order. So when you go down the group, atomic radius increases. Why does it increase? Because one shell is added every time. Okay. Now name the elements which are the smallest and largest element atoms. How does the atomic size vary when you go down the group? As I said, it goes on increasing. You will see that the atomic size increases down this group. This is because new shells are being added as we go down the group. This increases the distance between the outermost electrons and the nucleus of the atom, and therefore the atomic size increases in spite of the increase in nuclear charge. Yes, there is an increase in protons and electrons, but there is also an increase in the size because of the orbit. One single orbit is added every time when you go down the group. Okay, then we come to metallic and non-metallic character of elements in the periodic table. Now if you look at the periodic table, again we need to have a look at it. Okay, just to get back, because you see the periodic table is most important, so we are going to get back to it every time. Okay, now look at it carefully here. If you see that on this side, okay, that is the left hand side, they are all metals. If you look at the right hand side, non-metals. Okay, so you got metals on one side, you can see the red arrows. Okay, here the red arrows, metals, non-metals, and metalloids are in between. In other words, in the periodic table, on the left hand side you will find metals, on the right hand side you will find non-metals. What you have to understand is metallic character goes on decreasing as you go from left to right in a period. In any of the periods, 7 periods, if you go from left to right, metallic character goes on decreasing and non-metallic character goes on increasing. For example, look at fluorine, okay, right at the top. Fluorine, bromine, iodine, they are all non-metals. They are called halogens. Okay, so if you go from say lithium, sodium, potassium this way, okay, from left to right, metallic character goes on decreasing. And in between you will find semi-metals or metalloids. Semi-metals or metalloids are elements which have the properties of metals as well as non-metals. You see boron, silicon, arsenic, okay, germanium, and antimony, tellurium, polonium, they are all classified, those are in pink colors, they are all metalloids, they are semi-metals. Partly they have properties of metals and partly non-metals. But in general, metallic character goes on decreasing, okay, and non-metallic character goes on increasing. In the same way, if you go from right to left, then metallic character goes on increasing and non-metallic character goes on decreasing. And when you go down a period, okay, when you go down a period, you see metallic character remains the same. You can see there is no change, they are all metals, okay, but mostly metals are grouped at the top. Okay, that's the important part to understand. All right, now metallic and non-metallic properties. Examine the elements of the third period and classify them as metals and non-metals. On which side of the periodic table do you find metals? Metals are on the left hand side. On which side of the periodic table do you find non-metals? On the right hand side. As we can see that metals like sodium and magnesium are towards the left hand side of the periodic table, while non-metals like sulfur and chlorine are found on the right hand side of the periodic table. In the middle we have elements like silicon, which is classified as a semi-metal or a metalloid because it shows the properties of both metals and non-metals. Silicon is obtained from silica. Silica means actually it is part of sand, okay, and that's why silicon is quite common actually, and we use silicon in microchips and many other electronic instruments. In the modern periodic table, a zigzag line separates the metals from the non-metals. The borderline elements like boron, silicon, germanium, arsenic, antimony, tellurium, and polonium are intermediate elements in this periodic table, and they show properties of metalloids and semi-metals. As you can see in chapter 3, metal tends to lose electron while forming bonds, that is, they are electropositive in nature. Okay, again, let's have a look at the periodic table. Okay, again, as we said, that what is important to understand is that you see this pink colored in the periodic table, those pink colored, there is a black line passing through them. So boron, silicon, germanium, arsenic, antimony, tellurium, and polonium, which are shown in pink, they are all semi-metals or metalloids. They show characteristic properties of metals as well as non-metals, and they are extremely useful. Metalloids are extremely useful in the modern industries also, especially in the electronic industry. Alright, these are semi-metals, partly metals, partly non-metals. Mostly on this side, that is left hand side, lithium, sodium, potassium, calcium, and all that, strontium, barium, and so on, they are all metals. Here, nitrogen, oxygen, carbon, fluorine, bromine, iodine, they are all non-metals. Okay, so the whole table is being classified in such a manner that you can spot where a metal is non-metal. If I ask you where can you expect to find a metal, you will immediately know without opening your eyes that it will be on the left hand side. Where can you expect to find chlorine? You know chlorine is a non-metal, so it will be on the right hand side. Okay, and if I ask you where can you find boron or where can you find silicon, but you know that they are semi-metals, so they will be somewhere in the center, not exactly in the center, but mostly towards the between metals and non-metals. Alright, so that was now metallic and non-metallic character we have just discussed. Okay, zigzag line separates them. Now let us see the next part of the chapter, and that is okay, activity 5.10. How do you think the tendency to lose electron changes in a group? How will this tendency change in a period? As the effective nuclear charge acting on the valence shell electrons increases across a period, the tendency to lose electrons will decrease down this group. The effective nuclear charge experienced by valence electrons is decreasing because the outermost electrons are further away from the nucleus. Therefore, these can be lost easily. Hence, metallic character decreases across a period and increases down a group. Metallic character means what? Metals show a tendency. Again, I'll just make a note out here. Okay, metals show a tendency. Metals show a tendency to lose electrons and hence form positive ions. Non-metals show a tendency to gain electrons and hence form negative ions. Okay, this is an important aspect to remember in mind. Non-metals actually show a tendency to gain electrons. Non-metals like chlorine, bromine, fluorine, iodine. Okay, metals like lithium, sodium, potassium, they actually show a more tendency. If you look at the left hand side, okay, let's again have a look at the periodic table. I come back to the periodic table every now and then because it is vitally important. Okay, let us take it out here. See, just 1 second. Okay, let's see here once again. Okay, the periodic table. Now, if you look at the first one, lithium, sodium, potassium. Okay, if you go down a period, the atomic size is increasing. As atomic size increases, you will find that it is easier to lose the electrons because the electrons are further away from the nucleus. Because they are further away from the nucleus, that electron can be lost very easily. And therefore, metallic character increases as you go down the group. In other words, sodium is more metallic than lithium, potassium is more metallic than sodium, and so on. Metallic character increases as you go down the group. What about metallic character as you go from left to right? It decreases, and we can see that. Why does that happen? Because valence shell is not added, electrons are added, and therefore the force of attraction increases between the electrons and the nucleus, as a result of which it becomes more difficult for electrons to be lost. Okay, so metallic character decreases as you go from left to right along a period, whereas metallic character goes on increasing as you go from the top to bottom along a particular group. Okay, that is about metallic character and non-metallic character. Yes, and yes, hence character decrease across the period. Non-metals on the other hand are electronegative. Now this is important. Non-metals are electronegative. Okay, why? Because they form negative ions by gaining electrons. Metals are electropositive. Why? Because they actually form positive ions. Lithium, sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, they will all form positive ions. Why? Because they will prefer to lose those electrons and form positive ions. On the other hand, chlorine, bromine, iodine, fluorine, they are non-metals. They will form negative ions by gaining electrons, and that's why they are called electronegative elements. Okay, now let us learn about the variation of this property. Okay, this particular property, activity 5.11. How would the tendency to gain electrons change as you go from left to right across a period? You see, as you go from left hand side to right hand side, as you go from sodium, potassium towards chlorine, bromine, iodine, you will find that the number of shells remains the same, but the number of electrons in the outermost shell goes on increasing. As a result of which, the electrostatic force of attraction between the positively charged nucleus and the negatively charged electrons, that increases, and that's why atomic radius also shrinks a little bit. But it also means that the outermost electrons will find it more difficult to be lost, and therefore metallic character goes on decreasing and non-metallic character increases. Okay, how would the tendency to gain electrons change as you go down the group? As you go down the group, okay, the tendency to gain electrons will be less, but the tendency to lose electrons will be more, and that's why metals are electropositive. As the trends in the electronegativity show, non-metals are found on the right hand side of the periodic table towards the top. These trends also help us to predict the nature of oxides formed by the elements, because it is known to you that the oxides of metals are basic in nature. For example, magnesium oxide. Magnesium oxide, when it is dissolved in water, forms magnesium hydroxide, which is a base. So metallic oxides are basic in nature, whereas non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature. Okay, non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature because, for example, carbon. Okay, when carbon is dissolved in water, okay, when carbon forms carbon dioxide, first of all, carbon reacts with, or sulfur and carbon are known metals. When they react with oxygen, they form the corresponding oxide, sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide. When sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide are dissolved in water, you get mild acids, dilute forms of acid, carbonic acid, H2CO3. Carbonic acid is an acid. It's a mild acid. Okay, it's not a concentrated acid. And therefore, non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature, whereas metal oxides are basic in nature. Alright, this is the part here. I also written a few things out here. And see, electronegativity, this is an important point. Okay, electronegativity increases. This is something that you should write in your book, textbook. Write it exactly as I have shown it. Electronegativity increases as we go from left to right across a period towards the non-metals. Electronegativity decreases as we go from top to the bottom in a period. Hence, most non-metals are found on the right hand side and the periodic table towards the top, whereas metals are found on the left hand side in the periodic table. That's an important difference. And then second one, metals show a tendency to lose electrons and form positive ions. Okay, whereas non-metals show a tendency to gain electrons and hence form negative ions. Alright, so you can see that this is all about the properties of the modern periodic table. There are a few questions out here and which I have answered in the PDF. Okay, all these questions I have answered in the PDF. So what you should really be doing is making sure that you go through this video carefully. It's in 3 parts, I believe. Okay, I have covered that because it's a very short lesson. It's not a very lengthy lesson. There are no numericals also. There are no derivations also. That's why it's a short and easier lesson. But it's necessary to understand that it forms the basis of chemistry. If you don't understand the periodic table, then you will find a lot of things difficult in chemistry. That's why Mendeleev's contribution, as I keep repeating, Mendeleev's contribution is fantastic in chemistry. Okay. So once again, periodic classification of elements, go through it, have a good look at the modern periodic table. See what metals and non-metals are and where they are located. Okay, where are metalloids, how many groups are there, how many periods are there, what are the rare earth metals, that is the lanthanide and actinide series, where do they start from, where do they end. Okay, you must have a look at this, how electronegativity and metallic character increases and decreases. And also you must look at about atomic radius increasing and decreasing. These are some of the properties of the modern periodic table. Alright, as far as the exam goes, this year only, as far as the exam goes, the modern periodic table in this particular chapter, the last part, the modern periodic table, that part is most important. The earlier portions about Mendeleev's periodic table, Dobrunier's triads, Newland's octaves, those are not so important from the point of view of exam only. Okay, from the point of view of this particular year only. Alright, that's all. I will carry on with one more chapter in science, or I will continue with quadratic equations tomorrow. Okay, meanwhile stay safe and stay at home. Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.